What is up guys, it's Smowtown here, and today I want to talk about a subject that has been really interesting to me recently, and that is the combative relationship of the Vome and Fass worms of the Grey Strain on Deimos. Before we get into the video, if you like lore and you like Warframe, then consider giving the channel a subscribe, as I do cover Warframe lore at least once a week, including lore format videos like my now recent complete history of the Grineer, which was a full 40-minute in-depth look of the entire race. But with that said, let us get on with this video. As you explore the awesome and dynamic environment of the Cambion Drift, you can't help but become acquainted with the two resident worms, those being the female Vome and the male Fass, whose daughter ties together as brother and sister. What is fascinating about the worm siblings is, despite the fact that they are part of the same strain of the Infestation, and indeed of the same hive mind, the two cannot coexist peacefully, and they take turns in annihilating each other, before enjoying a small period of dominance before their sibling regenerates and they in turn are struck down, and so the cycle continues as they blast each other apart with high-powered lasers. His daughter notes, upon us first witnessing Vome destroying Fass during the Heart of Deimos quest, it is a curious phenomenon that it marks it as one of the only instances of the Infestation fighting against itself. This is especially fascinating when we consider that both instances, both worms, are part of the same strain, in this case the Grey Strain. Well, so what? Are we expecting something like the Infestation to act normal? Well, as the Arlo incident showed, the Infestation is very capable of high-level intelligence and thought. So what is happening with Vome and Fass? What does it mean for the Grey Strain and the Infestation as a whole? Well, first of all, let us look at the two worms individually. Firstly, Vome, who represents the knight, if you will, of the Cambion Drift. Her name comes from the Requiem word for order, and is most likely a reflection of the influence that she has over the Cambion Rift, as it behaves in a much more calm and ordered manner while bathed in her light. During this time, infested enemies are decreased, and there are necromechs that are allowed to engage the infested, and they bring order to the drift. She is also named by daughter as the sister of the familial relationship. Fass, on the other hand, is named after the Requiem word for chaos, and once again this reflects the type of influence that he has over the Cambion Rift, as the infested get more aggressive and more numerous, and the necromechs lie dead across the battlefield. He is also introduced as the brother of the familial relationship. So it's readily apparent that once again that this is a representation of yin and yang, as this is a reoccurring theme of DEs throughout Warframe. Back in 2018 I did a video called Moon and Sun Explained, in which I discussed how Moon and Sun, like Equinox the Warframe, is an embodiment of yin and yang rather than an embodiment of good and evil. I argued that Sun represented active passion and Moon represented cool logic, rather than one being good and one evil. For more detailed analysis of this, please watch that video, as I won't be going into a huge amount of detail about the exact arguments of Moon and Sun here. In yin and yang philosophy, yin is the reactive and yang is the active, and many natural dualities are often seen as manifestations of this relationship. One obvious example is night and day, yang being the representation of the active day, and yin as the reactive night. But ultimately, yin and yang, day and night, and in this case, Fass and Vome, although are opposite and opposing halves, they are in fact making one indivisible whole, which is represented by the yin and yang symbol, which shows two forces in constant motion and opposition, but that make up one singular whole. Another natural duality is male and female, which again makes up the indivisible whole of society and humanity. Again, Fass and Vome being opposing genders, in order to strengthen that opposing forces that make up one indivisible whole metaphor. Likewise, Equinox has one male side and one female side to once again strengthen that yin and yang metaphorical representation. So I see the intention of the writers here to show and portray a system of balance that is made up of two opposing forces that together make a one indivisible whole despite their opposite and reactive qualities. The whole here is the Grey Strain and the hive mind of the Cambion Rift, and the two halves or the opposing forces are Vome and Fass, who balance each other out and balance the drift out in turn. Under Fass's influence, the drift grows aggressively and out of control. Then Vome rises and brings order by culling said growth and placating the growth, allowing necromechs to cut down infested numbers, and so this cycle continues when Fass once again rises again, and so on and so on. So what do we have then? Well, this means that we have stasis. For whatever purpose, the Grey Strain has developed a system that keeps its growth exactly as it is. As Fass allows the drift to grow chaotically out of control, Vome then keeps it in order and balance so that it keeps the way that it is. So what is the Grey Strain hive mind up to? Why is it doing this? Why does it have a need for perfect balance? This system has flaws, and there are some beings that seem to slip through the cracks of this balance, as we do see a degree of division amongst the Grey Strain. The Predacite and Volpulpa species are often assaulted by other infested, and the Entrati family themselves, despite being infested by the Grey Strain, seem to have lost their memories and identities but actively retain their own individuality, and instead of working in consort with the rest of the infestation, act for their own individual aims and goals. So is this system of balance, however flawed, brought about by a united hive mind who has its own plans of balance? Or is this in fact a hive mind divided, with the Vome side of the strain actively resisting against the rest? Possibly. Even siding with the forces of Orders and the Necromets and the Predacites, etc. Is it possible that the Entrati, having become part of the strain, have had a reverse effect on the strain, bringing about Vome's desire for order through their own past of being an ordered group of individuals? This is all speculation really, and I'm sure the answer is in there somewhere, being between a hive mind that knows exactly what it's doing and has a system of balance, or it's being a hive mind that is divided for whatever reasons. However, whatever the reason, the result is the same. The Grey Strain often acts against itself, leaving it in its state of balance, and in fact, different organisms within the Grey Strain are often acting against each other. This leaves open the opportunity for some rich lore and some opportunities for characters within the game to study this duality as a means to curtail the infestation, as a way somehow to use the force or impulse behind the Vome or ordered strain to reverse its growth or to trick it into consuming itself. There is conflict here, for whatever reason, and this could be used by characters in the game to combat the infestation. I hope DE explores this side of the story more. The differing strains of infestation has always fascinated me, and I feel the conflicting nature of Vome and Fass could lead to some pretty wild ideas, and it's pretty clear in game that this is a very unusual case of the infestation acting against itself for whatever reason, and I do believe that the characters in the game should definitely exploit this, as it would lead to some interesting avenues that we saw like in Arlo for example, of what the infestation actually is and how the hive mind operates. So thanks guys, that is my take on Vome and Fass. I find them very interesting. They're of course part of a balanced ecosystem, part of a whole of opposing forces. There's unfortunately not much else more that we can draw from it, and I really do hope that there is more explanation from DE, as I believe a really great foundation for some interesting infestation lore has been laid. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like or a subscribe, as I do Warframe content. But until next time guys, I will see you in the Isolation Vaults. Take care.